Hello, and thank you for watching Dark. Listen to this disturbing song to figure out which mom we're covering.
Tell me when they went to the watery grave, were you smiling? A tears ran down their face. Mommy, mommy, save us, the angel of death. And you took them all too soon. When you wake up, when you lay down at night, tell me, Susan, do you cry? Do you cry? Tell me when they went to the watery grave, were you smiling? Tears ran down their face. Mommy, mommy, save us, the angel of death. You took them all too soon. When you wake up, when you lay down at night, tell me, Susan, do you cry?
Welcome to Dark Games, where we explore the shadows of history's most disturbing events and personalities. I'm Duncan, and today we delve into the tragic story of Susan Smith. On October 25th, 1994, a mother made headlines around the world with a tale that gripped a nation. A story of loss, betrayal, the dark corners of the human psyche. But beneath the headlines, there's a family forever changed. This is their story.
Susan Lee Vaughn was born on September 26, 1971, in Union, South Carolina. Early life was marked by turbulence and tragedy. Her parents divorced when she was 7, and just weeks later, her father took his own life. This loss would cast a long shadow over Susan's life. In 1991, Susan married David Smith. The couple seemed happy, but beneath the surface, their relationship was fraught with issues, financial stress, infidelity, and Susan's battle with depression strained their marriage. They had 2 sons, Michael and Alex. The game the center of their world. On the night of October 25th, 1994, Susan Smith drove her car to John D. Long Lake. She claimed that a man had hijacked her car with her son still inside. For 9 days, the nation watched as she tearfully pleaded for their safe return. But the truth was far more horrifying.
Because they were in car seats and it was going to take time for me to get them out of the car seat. And he just told me, he said, but I won't hurt them. And he just took off. But he had a gun, and my big thing is they were screaming, hollering, crying. And I'm just scared that he just lost his patience.
As the search intensified, doubts began to surface. Susan's story was inconsistent. On November 3rd, 1994, Susan confessed to rolling her car into the lake with her children strapped inside. In motive, she was having an affair with a man who didn't want children. The revelation was a gut-wrenching shock. Susan's confession sent shockwaves across the world. The image of a Greek mother transformed to that of a cold-hearted killer. The public's outpouring of sympathy turned into outrage. But for David Smith, the man who had once loved her, the betrayal was deeply personal.
Susan Smith has been arrested and will be charged with 2 counts of murder.
The murders of young Michael and Alex Smith will never be forgotten in the Upstate. In 1994, their mother lied to the country, saying her car was stolen with the boys still inside. The frantic search ended when investigators proved the grieving mother was really the one to blame. It's a painful story investigators are still trying to learn from more than 15 years later. For the first time, though, their teacher is the man who lived through it all, the boy's father, David Smith.
Please, as law enforcement, don't shy away. Don't feel intimidated by the parents and hinder, the investigation. Please ask those important questions.
Smith reopened his old wounds, talking about what it was like to be under the microscope.
Part of me was kind of a little frustrated because I wanted every available officer out there looking for Michael and Alex. And I was like, well, you're wasting time interviewing me. Or, as I thought at that time too, Susan.
He says what happened to his family is the reason why investigators can never back down. But he says to get to the truth, they'll have to use compassion.
Asking me, do I know where Michael and Alex is at? That hurt. But I knew they had to, ask that. They had to do their job. And that's what I want law enforcement to do, is just remember that they have to ask those tough questions.
David says he's only spoken to Susan once since the trial.
It took many years. It took a long time, but I finally forgiven her, because not forgiving her, that was eating me up.
David Smith was thrust into the spotlight, not just as a grieving father, but as a symbol of unimaginable loss. His pain was palpable. The loss of his sons, combined with the betrayal of his wife, left him grappling with a nightmare that felt unreal. David Smith's life was irrevocably changed. He became a reluctant public figure, sharing his grief with the world. The media followed his every move, documenting his journey through pain and recovery. But behind the scenes, David struggled with guilt and anger. How could the woman he loved commit such an atrocity? David's grief was compounded by the public's intense scrutiny. He faced questions not only about Susan's actions, but about their life together. Yet despite the challenges, David found ways to honor his son's memories, becoming an advocate for victims of crime and mental health awareness.
The impact of this tragedy extended far beyond David. The entire community was devastated. Friends, extended family, and even strangers felt the loss. The Smith family in particular struggled to cope with the dual tragedies of losing their grandchildren and witnessing the downfall of Susan. For many, the loss of Michael and Alex was not just a personal tragedy, but a community one. The sense of betrayal was deep, and the healing process slow. The Smith and Vaughn families were left to pick up the pieces, their grief a constant, haunting presence.
I'm trying to be figures out. I think Jack's coming back. Man in Shadows has been here all under your noses.
Is this thing on? Whew. Man, that man of Shadow's been hiding under your guys' noses for a little bit now. I was waiting for someone to catch on. I think someone mentioned it a few videos ago. And by the way, if you've been following us and you don't know who the Man of Shadows is, you might want to go back and watch the original video. This is going to conclude Season 3, most of which I've been absent from.
But we can't just end the episode here. Even if I don't have all the production value that the Man of Shadows thinks he has, we have to find a way to give this video a proper ending. For many, the loss of Michael and Alex was not just a personal tragedy, but a community one. The sense of betrayal was deep and the healing process slow. The Smith and Vaughn families were left to pick up the pieces, their grief a constant, haunting presence. The case of Susan Smith captivated and horrified the nation. The media frenzy was relentless. Susan's actions were dissected, analyzed, and condemned. She became a symbol of maternal betrayal, a figure who embodied the darkest fears of society. The public's reaction was equally intense. The story sparked discussions about mental health, the pressures of motherhood, and the consequences of untreated depression. Yet, amidst the condemnation, there were also calls for compassion and understanding. What drives a person to commit such an act? The story of Susan Smith is a complex and tragic one. It's a story of a family shattered, of dreams lost, and of a nation grappling with the unthinkable. For David Smith and the families affected, the pain is a constant reminder of what was taken. But it's also a story of resilience, of the human capacity to endure and heal. As we reflect on this case, let us remember the importance of compassion and mental health awareness. If you or someone you know is struggling, please seek help. Sometimes the darkest moments can lead to the most profound growth. We'd like to thank our viewers for their continued support. A special thanks to our sources, contributors, and the families who shared their stories. If you found this video informative or compelling, and you have not done so, we invite you to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you don't miss any of our journeys into the dark. As always, I'm your host, Duncan. This has been Darker Things, and I am here to remind you that once you enter the dark, you may never be the same.